The leaders of the overseas territories and crown dependencies did not sign up to the UK's multilateral convention on mutual administrative assistance on tax matters, which was put forward by UK Prime Minister David Cameron ahead of the G8 meetings which were held on June 17th and 18th. Bermuda's Premier Craig Cananeer said his delegation told Cameron that the territories were not given a fair opportunity to examine the multilateral agreement and made it clear that the territories needed more time before signing on the dotted line.
I met with the overseas territories, prime ministers and premiers, also with the crown dependencies were represented there. We had the opportunity to sit down at the table with the Prime Minister Cameron and also with Mark Simmons, the overseas territory minister, and we had a rather lengthy luncheon meeting with the two of them about the concerns that we had as we move forward as overseas territories and as crown dependencies. And I believe that throughout that meeting it was unanimous that we felt that Bermuda and the likes had not been given the fair opportunity to look at this agreement, this multilateral agreement, in its totality, to be able to make any assessment as to whether or not we could sign by that time.
Last week, Premier Dr. Orlando Smith said, where financial services are concerned, the goalpost is constantly changing and there is no level playing field.
The nature of the environment in the industry today is that the goalpost is constantly moving and the playing field is now anything but level. So while we cannot and do not apologize for the spirit of competition and our entrepreneurial savvy that has made BVI play in the global financial services industry, we also have to recognize that constant adaptation to new rules is essential if we are to remain players in the industry and if we are to maintain our level of success.
Meanwhile, Bermuda's Finance Minister Bob Richards says he believes that the United Kingdom's government is using its overseas territories and crown dependencies as scapegoats because of the current economic situation in the UK.
So it's a very sort of difficult and negative environment over there, and I believe that overseas territories and crown dependencies to some extent being used as scapegoats and distractions from domestic policies and domestic policy failures. We know who owns companies in Bermuda. International companies, we know who own them because we've required them to tell us since the 1940s. And we've required them to tell us because we wanted to protect ourselves against them. But now they say they want to protect themselves against us. That's the irony that I found when I was in Britain.
The leaders of the UK overseas territories have, however, signaled their commitment to joining the Multilateral Convention on Mutual Administrative Assistance on Tax Matters. Prime Minister Cameron has welcomed this agreement. However, the UK business community has cited concerns about the register of public companies being made public and the possibility of increased corporate taxes. The action plans that the G8 countries have agreed to draw up are to be guided by the 10 principles of the Lockhorn Declaration. But those 10 principles are already underpinned in company reporting laws in most of the G8, except for Russia. Similarly, the commitment to automatic exchange of information between tax authorities is seen as a positive step, but as Premier Smith pointed out in his address on June 20th, this is only an extension of the tax information exchange agreements that have been developed over the past decade under the OECD.